गिरिधारी शिष्य राधा विनोद बिहारी जू की जाय। श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मरन मोहन जू की जाय। नित्यानंद प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार शुतर शत शिशुमार भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्री गुरुदेव की जाय। नित्यानंद प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार शुतर शत शिशुमार भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जाय। नित्यानंद प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार शुतर शत शिशुमार भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जाय। नित्यानंद प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार शुतर शत शिशुमार भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जाय। नित्यानंद प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार अशुतर शत शिशुमार भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जाय। नित्यानंद प्रविष्ट महाभगवत श्री गौरकिशोरदास बाबूजी महाराज की जाय। नित्यानंद प्रविष्ट श्री सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जाय। नित्यानंद प्रविष्ट वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबूजी महाराज की जाय। श्री रूपानु गौरी गुरु वर्ग की जाय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल परदास रघुनाथ शार गोसाई प्रभु की जाय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जाय। नाम अक्षय श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जाय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जाय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल व्रज मंडल मथुर वृंदावन धाम की जाय। सर्व अविश्व विरक्त गिरिराज महाराज की जाय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जाय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जाय। श्री तुलसी महारानी विंद देवी की जाय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जाय। श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाया की जाय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जाय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जाय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर जय। श्री चैतन्य शिक्षाष्टक की जय। जय श्री सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि की जय। द संमोदन भाष्य of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur की जय। The Vivritti of Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Goswami Prabhupada की जय। Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Gitavali and Bhajan Rahasya की जय। Jai. All the commentaries of all of our acharyas ki jai. Jai Shri Hari Nam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Shri Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam ki jai. Jai Shri Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Okay, we'll do the Mangalacharan and then begin. Ajnānatimirandhasya jnānanjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Let me just close the door because it's really distracting outside. Ajnānatimirandhasya jnānanjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Śrīdhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura Gauriya Gaurvanvaye Bhato Bhanuriva Prabhata Gagane Yogora Saṅkīrtanam Māyāpura Mingilo Daragatan Uddhrita Jiva Niman Krishna Prema Sudabdika Hana Sukham Pradat Prabhung Tang Bhaje Vande Bhakti Vinodam Shri Gaura Shakti Swarupakam Bhakti Shastra Gyasam Rajam Radha Rasa Sudha Nidhim Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanugavarayate Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Vrishabhanusutanvitavamattanum Yamunattatanaгаранандasutam Murali Kalagita Vinoraparang Bhajagodrumakanana Kunjavidom Smaragoragadadhara Kelikalam Bhavagoragadadhara Pakshachara Shrinugauragadadhara Charukatang Bhajagodrumakanana Kunjavido Tavai Vasmi Na Jivami Tvaya Vina Iti Vigyaya Devi Twang Nayamang Charanantikam Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshai Kshiptashtakama Madhye Kripa Mai Twang Sharanam Prapanna Vrinde Namaste Charana Ravindam Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Swaruparaya Sangha Harsha Shesha Ghoshanam Shikshanashtakakya Krishna Kirtanaika Poshanam Prema Nama Matra Vishva Jivanaika Sambharam Prema Dhama Devam Eva Nomi Gaura Sundaram Premor Bhavita Harsheryod Vega Dainyarti Mishritam Lapitangorachandrasya Bhagyabarbhirnishevyate Prabhur Shikshashtak Shloka Jai Pore Shune Krishne Prema Bhakti Tar Bade Dine Dine. Whoever reads or hears the Lord Shikshashtak verses, for that person their Prem Bhakti for Krishna increases day by day. Bade Dine Dine. It increases, Bade, Dine Dine, day by day. What increases? Krishna, Prem Bhakti. Krishna means for Krishna, Prem Bhakti. And Tar makes it plural, possessive. So that person's Bhakti, Bade Dine Dine, increases day by day. That person's Prem Bhakti, Krishna, for Krishna. Who? Je Pore Shune, that person who reads, or Pore means reads, and Shune means hears. Prabhur Shikshashtak Shloka Jai Pore Shune Krishna Prem Bhakti Tar Bade Dine Dine. Okay, so now we will. Well, first let me see everyone who's joined. Dandavat Pranams Nri Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarani Mataji, Pradumna Prabhu, Mantramurti Mataji, Nitai Mukeshji, Sarveshwari Mataji, and Guru Nishta Prabhu, Haribol. And on YouTube and Facebook, Vidyalala Sadidi, Gargarajji, Dandavat Pranams Gargarajji. And I'm guessing Indira Mataji is there, and Raseshwari Mataji. And also, I can only see the names of people who write comments. I mention that every day because sometimes people think I'm just like neglecting them or like leaving them out. But no, I just, yeah. And also pranams to all devotees watching in the future, like Jayadev Prabhu, Joshua Davis, and Shachi Devi, and everybody else. Dandavat pranams. All right, so today I think we will begin by singing Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura's song. Yeah, we'll sing the Gitavali song. We've been jumping back and forth, sometimes singing the Gitavali song, sometimes going through Antyalila 20. So, but first, let's recite all the verses of Shikshashtaka. Cheto darpanamarjanam pavamahadavagni nirvapanam Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrarpita Niyamita Smaranena Kala Etadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Janinanuraga Trinarapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sada Hari Na dhanam na janam na sundarim Kavitam va jagarisha kamaye Mama janmani janmanishware Bhavatar bhakti rahaitu ki tvayi Ainandatanu jakinkaram Patitamam dishame bhavam buddho Kripaya tava para pankaja Stitaduli sadrisham vichintaya Nayanam galarashudharaya Vadanam gadgadarudaya gira Pulakarni chitang vapukada Tavanama grahane bhavishyati Yugaitam nimeshena Chakshusha pravrishaitam Shunyaitam jagat sarvam Govinda virahena me Ashlishava pararitang pinashtumam Adarshanan marmahatam korotuva Yatha tathava vidadhatu lampato Mat prananatastu sa eva napara Mat prananatastu sa eva napara. Today I'll sing this song by Bhaktisiddhānta Thakur in evening melody. Okay. I drank a bunch of cold milk last night, so it's hard for things happen to my voice and it's hard for me to stay on tune and do things, but whatever, it doesn't matter. All right. Should we read the translation first? Yeah, let's just do that this time. The golden complexioned savior of the age of Kali, Shri Gaur Hari, sings as follows, overwhelmed with bhav. Chitta Darpana Parimarjanakari. That Krishna Kirtan, which cleanses the mirror of the heart, Krishna Kirtana Jaya, all glories to that Krishna Kirtan, which is the Chitta Bihari, which delights the soul. This Krishna Kirtan, Hela Bhava Dava Nirvapana Vritti, even if it is chanted indifferently, it has the tendency to extinguish the forest fire of material existence. So Krishna Kirtana Jaya, all glories to that Krishna Kirtan, which Klesha Nivritti, which ends all suffering. Shreya Kumuda Vidu Jyotsna Prakash. This Krishna Kirtan casts moonbeams upon the white lotus of good fortune. So all glories to that Krishna Kirtan, Krishna Kirtana Jai, Bhakti Vilas, which is a loving pastime of bhakti. Now, this Krishna Kirtan is the life of the bride of transcendental knowledge. Vishuddha Vidya Vadhu Jivanarup. So, Krishna Kirtana Jaya, all glories to that Krishna Kirtan, Siddha Swarup, which is the embodiment of perfection. It also reveals to us our own Siddha Swarup, our own perfected spiritual body. This is at the stage of asakti. Ananda Payonidhi Vardhana Kirti. This Krishna Kirtan is glorified for expanding the ocean of transcendental bliss. So Krishna Kirtana Jaya, all glories to that Krishna Kirtan, Plavana Murti, which is the embodiment of the deluge of prem. There's a deluge of prem which causes the ocean of bliss to increase unlimitedly. So, Plavana Murti. Now this Krishna Kirtan, it bestows the taste of nectar at every step. This is at the stage of prem. So pade pade piyusha swada pradata. So all glories to that Krishna Kirtan, Krishna Kirtana Jai, prema vidata. This Krishna Kirtan, which is the fountainhead of pure love of God. Now this Krishna Kirtan, Swatma Snapana Vidhan, is Bhakti Vinod. It completely bathes the soul of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So Krishna Kirtana Jaya, all glories to that Krishna Kirtan, which is Prema Nidhan, which is the root cause of Prem. Okay, I'm going to sing this in a third melody. We sing it, Pita Varana Kali Pavana Gaura. We sing it in that melody. We also sing it, Pita Varana Kali Pavana Gaura. That's the morning melody. And now I'm going to sing it in a different evening melody. Famous one, the common one. Pita Varana Kali Pavana Gaura. That one melody. And then we'll sing it another melody another day. But yeah, okay. Apita Varana Kali Pavana Gaura Gawai Chana O Bhava Vibhora Chitta Darpana Pari Marjana Kari Krishna Kirtana Jai Chitta Bihari Hela Bhavadava Nirpapana Vritti Krishna Kirtana Jai Aklesha Nivritti Ashreya Kumoda Vidu Jyotsna Prakasha Krishna Kirtana Jai Bhakti Vilasa Vishuddha Vidyavado Jivana Rupa Krishna Kirtana Jai Asiddha Swarupa Ananda Payo Nidhi Avardhana Kirti Krishna Kirtana Jai Plavana Murti Pade Pade Piyusha Swada Pradata Krishna Kirtana Jai Prema Vidhata O Bhakti Vinoda Swatma Snapana Vidhana Krishna Kirtana Jai Prema Nidana. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Oh, I forgot to mention today's program at the beginning. So, I'm Hare Krishna Anadi Krishna Prabhu, and yeah, all right. So, our program today, we are going to read this. It's a lecture that Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Goswami Prabhupāda gave. He gave it in 1932 on the eve of Gaura-pūrṇimā in Śrīdhāma, Māyāpura. I think this is originally translated, we translated this from the Gaura-pātrika. Let's see, yeah. This is translated from Sri Gaura-pātrika, year 24, issue 3. So that's my Param Gurudev's magazine, of which Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada was an editor and very frequent contributor. I think he wrote like 70-something articles for Gaura-pātrika and Bhagavad-pātrika, maybe 80-something articles, I can't remember. But yeah, Srivas actually compiled them all together. And it was translated into English for Rays of the Harmonist, issue number 16, Kartik 2006. All right. The 7 tongues of the fire of Sankirtan. Jai Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. And what's a tongue? A tongue of a fire, is it? Is that? Just looking at this word tongue. A jet of flame there. So a jet of flame, a tongue of flame flashes 4 feet from the gun. Interesting. Okay. The 7 tongues of the fire of Sankirtan. Let there be supreme victory for the chanting of the holy name of Śrī Kṛṣṇa, which cleanses the mirror of the heart and completely extinguishes the blazing forest fire of material existence. Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam diffuses the moon rays of Bhav, which cause the white lotus of good fortune for the jivas to bloom. The holy name is the life and soul of transcendental knowledge, which is herein compared to a wife. It continuously expands the ocean of transcendental bliss enabling one to taste complete nectar at every step, and thoroughly cleanses and cools everything, internal and external, including one's body, heart, self, Atma, and nature. What does it cleanse? Cleanses everything internal and external. So even your external body becomes purified, and your heart becomes purified, your very self, your Atma, becomes purified, and nature. All these become purified. Okay. The Vedic scriptures describe fire as having 7 tongues, each of a different color according to its intensity. The colors of these tongues are blackish, Karali, deep smoky purple, Dhumina, white, Shweta, red, Lohita, a mix of blue and red, Nil Lohita, golden, Suvarna, and reddish pink, like a lotus, Padmarag. These are the 7 colors of fire according to its intensity. Karali, Dhumina, Shweta, Lohita, Nila Lohita, Suvarna, and Padmarag. There's a footnote. What does the footnote say? Footnote's missing. Anyways, doesn't matter. Okay. In the same way, Sri Gaurasundar has sung the glories of the fire of Sankirtan, which also has 7 tongues. They are Cheto Darpanamarjanam and so forth. Unless the fire of Sankirtan is kindled and blazes, one's material existence will not be destroyed at the root, and salvation's highest goal, prem, will never be achieved. Yes, so the fire of Sankirtan must be kindled and must blaze. Then everything will be destroyed, all material existence will be destroyed at the root, and one will attain Krishna Prem, the highest goal. Sri Gaurasundar describes the fire of Sankirtan's 7 tongues using 7 similes. Okay, so these are the 7 similes. He likens the heart to a mirror, 2, material existence to a great forest fire, 3, spiritual welfare to moonlight, or the brightness of the moon, 4, knowledge to a bride, 5, bliss to the ocean, 6, prem to ambrosia, and 7, the attainment of service to Krishna to a bath in which one fully immerses oneself. Shreya Kumuda. I thought the Kumuda was the Shreya was the lotus. But here he's saying that spiritual welfare, this Shreya refers to the moonlight, to the Chandrika. Interesting. Okay. We'll also hear his explanation of these after we finish the program. We're going to complete the Vivriti. Okay. The adverb pratipadam at every step is used before each of these 7 adjectives, which describe Sankirtan. Whoa, okay, I'd never heard that before. So it's not just saying, usually we just think that pratipadam purnamrita svadanam, that it refers to that section there, that one tastes nectar at every step. But now here Srila Sarasvatī Ṭhākura Prabhupāda is saying that this at every step refers to each one of these things. At every step, by chanting and chanting, at every step, the mirror of the heart's getting cleansed. At every step, the blazing forest fire of material existence is being extinguished. At every step, these moon rays are diffusing on the white lily of Shreya, of good fortune. And then at every step, it is the life and soul of transcendental knowledge, which is revealing to us our Siddha Swarup and Krishna's form, and giving us knowledge of our Sambandha Gyan, and more than that, like all the details of who we are. And then at every step, it is increasing the ocean, it's expanding the ocean of transcendental bliss, and at every step, it is enabling us to taste complete nectar. So this pade pade refers to each one of these 7. Okay, the adverb pratipadam is used before each of these 7 adjectives, which describe Sankirtan. The fire of Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam will achieve topmost victory by burning to ashes and engulfing every desire other than the desire to serve Śrī Krishna. This includes all possible desire for the results of fruitive activities, of developing speculative knowledge and mystic powers, of strictly observing vows, and of performing austerities. Anyone of good intelligence, anybody who's sumedha, in the past, present, or future, can realize the topmost exalted victory of Śrī Krishna Chaitanya Sankirtan, no matter where in this world he is born. Doesn't matter if you're born in Africa, or in China, or in America, or Australia. Doesn't matter. Anybody, in any time period, they can realize the most exalted glory of Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam. Less intelligent persons engage in other practices to attain other goals. Those who are intelligent, who are sumedha, they engage in the yajna of Sankirtan to worship with love that great personality of fair complexion whose radiance is the color of molten gold. Is that it's a familiar verse? Krishna varnam tisa krishnam sangopang astra parshadam. In Śrīmad Bhagavatam. Śrīmad Bhagavatam glorifies Sri Gaura-sundar, the source of all incarnations, whose identity is concealed in verses like, that same verse, Krishna varnam tisa krishnam, and also the verse right after that, Dhyayam sada paribhavagnam abhishtadoham, and the verse right after that, Taktva sudushtaja suripsita raja lakshmim. That's from Śrīmad Bhagavatam, the 11th canto, chapter 5, verses 32 to 34. And Srila Sarasvatī Ṭhākura Prabhupāda gave very deep translations of these verses, which we're going to include one of them in the... Actually, no, we're going to include both of them in the songbook. May the fire of the Sankirtan Yajna, which is adorned with 7 tongues, and kindled by highly intelligent persons, continuously remain alight in Sri Chaitanya Mat. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Sankirtan automatically achieves everything that is accomplished by performing intense meditation, Mahadhyan in Satyuga, magnificent sacrifice, Mahayagya in Treta Yuga, and opulent deity worship, Maha Archan in Dwapara Yuga. In Satya Yuga, when religion stood on all 4 legs, when there was austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, only meditation was performed. In Treta Yuga, when religion stood on 3 legs, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, only sacrifice was performed. In Dwapara Yuga, when religion stood on but 2 legs, mercy and truthfulness, only deity worship was performed. But in Kali Yuga, when religion stands on only 1 leg, truthfulness, the source of all incarnations, Sri Gaura-sundar, appears and delivers the people by manifesting Sankirtan. He thus gives a person the opportunity to simultaneously perform intense meditation, magnificent service, and opulent worship of the deity. One cannot serve the combined form of Sri Radha Govinda, i.e. Mahaprabhu, by any other means other than Sankirtan. By any means other than Sankirtan. This is the only way we can worship Mahaprabhu. The combined form of Radha Govinda. Only means is Sankirtan. Nor can one serve Sri Radha Govinda simply by performing Archan. They can only be served by Maha Archan, that is, Sankirtan. Okay, so any pujaris out there can't actually serve your Thakurji by performing Archan. Can only serve them by performing Maha Archan, which means Sankirtan. So all throughout all your services, all your Archan, it has to be accompanied by Kirtan. In the same way, the gopis cannot be satisfied by the yogi's practice of meditation. Meditation is appropriate in relation to a distant entity who is hidden and beyond reach. It is inappropriate in relation to a person who has been easily and completely made one's own, and whom one holds in constant embrace. That's a very interesting point, huh? Meditation is appropriate in relation to a distant entity who is hidden and beyond reach, but it is inappropriate in relation to a person who has already been easily and completely made one's own and whom one holds in constant embrace. You're right there. You don't need to meditate on you. They're just right there. I'm embracing you. Why do I need to meditate on you? Yeah, do that. You meditate for somebody who's not already so close that you're not already embracing. Chitta-kari toma hoite, vishaye chahi lagaite, jatna kori nari karibare, tare dhyana shiksha koraho. Lokahasa, lokahasaya maro, stana stana, na koro vichare. Nahe gopi yogeshwara, parakama, padakamala tomar, dhyana kori paibe santosha, tomar vakya paripati, taramade kuti nati, shuni gopi raro bare rosha. Shuni Gopir Aro Pade Rosham. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the mood of Srimati Radharani, continued. He said, I would like to withdraw my consciousness from you and absorb it in worldly affairs. But although I try, I am never successful. Rather, I am naturally inclined toward you and only you. You are killing me by your ludicrous instructions to meditate upon you. It is not very good that you even consider me a candidate for such instructions. It's from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 13, 140 to 141. Okay, now distinction between the teachings of Ramanuja Acharya and Sriman Mahaprabhu. The gopis are not interested in even the slightest semblance of the reverence of meditation, the reverence of sacrifice, or the reverence of deity worship. Sri Ramanuja Acharya implemented a plan to benefit the many people averse to Archan, who are afflicted by anarthas, by propagating in this world Archan in a mood of awe and reverence. He is thus acknowledged as an illustrious Vaishnavacharya, who trampled the mad elephant of Mayavad philosophy with unprecedented sweetness. Even so, he was unable to realize the sweetness of Sri Krishna Prem, which can be attained merely through Sankirtan. One day, in this very Śrīdhāma Māyāpura, Sri Jayadev Goswami, the poet of the assembly of the kings in the Sain dynasty, performs the Mangalacharan, the auspicious invocation of Sri Gita Govinda, by singing the Gaura Chandrika, the moonlight that hints at the appearance of Sri Gaurasundar, who is compared to the moon. Okay, now this is the next section. The deep purport of the verse, Meghar Medhuram Ambaram. Sri Jayadev Saraswati has sung his invocation, which indicates the appearance of Sri Gaurasundar in the following mood. Remember, Jayadev Goswami came before Gaurasundar, but still we know the whole pastime that's in Navadip Dhammahatma, so he already knew about Mahaprabhu. So in his invocation, he is hinting at Mahaprabhu's appearance. I have no idea how to sing this. Meghar Meduram Ambaram Vana Bhuva Shamastamala Drumar Naktam Bhirorayam Tvameva Tadimam Radhe Griham Prapa Radhe Griham Prapaya itam nanda nideshatashchalitayo pratyadva kunja dromam. Radha, oh Radha Madhavayor, Jayanti Yamuna Kule, Raha Kelaya. Sorry guys, I don't know what I was doing. But the meaning is, O Radha, the sky is densely covered with dark clouds, and the forest has become dark due to the cluster of blackish tamal trees. On this night, Krishna, who is naturally timid, cannot walk alone. So take him home with you. Upon hearing this order from Nanda Maharaj, wow, Nanda Maharaj is ordering Srimati Radhika. That's interesting. So yeah, upon hearing this order from Nanda Maharaj, Vrishabhanu Nandini accompanied Hari and proceeded to the bower of trees beside the forest path. May the secret amorous pastimes performed on the bank of the Yamuna by the divine loving couple, Shri Radha Madhav, be ever victorious. Huh. That's the very first verse of Gita Govinda. Shri Pujari Goswami's commentary on this verse does not illustrate the full picture. Shri Jayadev Goswami has revealed this Gaura Chandrika, the moonlight of Gaura Chandra, in the hearts of highly realized Vaishnavas by simultaneously indicating the appearance of Shri Radha Madhav in one chamber of the great yoga pit of Śrīdhāma Māyāpura, and their combined appearance as the independent form of Shri Gaur Shashadhar. Shashadhar is another way of saying moon. So the moon like Gaur Chandra, Gaur Shashadhar, Shri Gaur Sundar, in another chamber. So there's the chamber and yoga pit Śrīdhāma Māyāpura for Shri Radha Madhav's appearance, and another chamber for the independent form of Gaur Sundar in another chamber. The path to the spiritual sky had become thoroughly obscured by the dense clouds of various ideologies. Consequently, the sweet and pleasant beauty of the Vrindavan forest seemed gloomy to the people of this world. Krishna appeared towards the end of Dwapara Yuga, and making himself the object of devotion, he personally spoke such words as Mam ekang sharanam vraja, unconditionally surrender to me, and ahang hi sarva yagyanam bhukta cha prabhureva cha. I alone am the enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. But as the darkness and intoxication of atheism became prominent, the multitude of souls who were driven by demoniac intelligence thought that the autocrat Purushottam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, had spoken these words out of egoism and pride. Thus, they deviated from the path of spiritual welfare. No one in the present age would care to listen to Sri Krishna's words if he simply appeared again in the same form. It was essential that he appear combined with Sri Vrishabhanu Nandini, and thereby avoid the perception of the public that he is timid. Realizing this, Sri Jayadev Goswami says, Grihang prapaya. Thus, Grihang means Gaur Griham, Yogapitam prapaya. That is, proceed to the house of Gaur at Maha Yogapit in the combined form of Radha Madhav. In other words, proceed to Nanda Griha, that is the home of Sri Jagannath Mishra at the great Yogapit in Śrīdhāma Māyāpura. Another name of Nanda is Vasudev. In the fourth canto of Śrīmad Bhagavatam 4.3.23, it is stated, Sattvang Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. The pure consciousness in which Krishna is revealed is called Vasudev. Wow, and Yashoda is also called Devaki. That's written in, what Puran was that written? I forgot, but yeah. It's so although this verse would at first seem to adopt the perspective of divine majesty, it in fact indicates that Vasudev, Sri Krishna, only appears on the platform of Vishuddha Sattva, pure consciousness. Let the celebrations on the eve of the appearance day of let the celebrations on the eve of the appearance of the combined form of Sri Radha Madhav be accomplished by means of Sankirtan, the congregational chanting of the holy names. Let all other conceptions be reduced to ashes in the fire of Sankirtan. May the consciousness of all living beings become fuel in the fire of love for Krishna, the Krishna Kamagni, in the fire of service to his holy names, Krishna Namagni, and in the fire of service to his divine abode, Krishna Dhamagni. Ganga Devi has achieved oneness with Sri Yamuna by the influence of the appearance of Gaurasundar, who is non-different from Brajendra Nandan. We just read that yesterday. My Gurudev explains that. The pastime where Jiva Goswami explains that. So upon the banks of Ganga and Yamuna, may the secret amorous pastimes of Radha and Madhav combined, that is, the Sankirtan Ras, be victorious. Jai Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam ki Jai. Wow, so deep, huh? Okay, so that is the end of that article. I'm going to just read a very short thing. I think it's short. Yeah, this doesn't look way too long. This is by Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj. It's in that famous article that I think it came in Back to Godhead, 1971 or 1972. It was Achyutananda, at that time, Achyutananda Das Brahmachari. He was in, he joined our program one day and told his history in India at that time. But so at that time, like in the 1970 or whenever it was, he interviewed Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj. And this is part of that article. It's called The Descent of the Holy Name. So, Śrī Śikṣāṣṭakam. This is just like one place in the middle of the article. In Lord Chaitanya's 8 verses, which comprise the final message of all spiritual instructions, the first verse gives 5 effects of the transcendental sound of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, as follows. I think it's supposed to say 7 effects there, not 5 effects. There's one thing, this article, The Descent of the Holy Name, it's so beautiful and just such an amazing article, but I have a feeling that he added some things or changed some things, because there are some analogies which I don't think Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj would have used. Like there is one of chain smoking. I forgot. But yeah. Anyhow, this is what it was inspired from, what he heard from Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj. Okay. Cheto Darpanamarjanam. So these are the effects of the transcendental sound of the Mahamantra. Cheto Darpanamarjanam, it wipes the material dust from the mirror of our mind. The mind is like the intermediate connecting medium between the spirit and that of the material external covering called the body. The soul has no material activity. When covered by Maya, or illusion, the soul remains dormant in a state of suspended animation. The magnitude of the soul is so great, however, that it infuses consciousness on all sides. Through the medium of the mind, the senses act, and we know things. If this glass, the mind, is put out of focus by the external nature, we suffer confusion, pain, disease, and death. Yes, death is a state of mind only, as the soul has no death. By the mind, we mistakenly think, oh, I am dying, or I am drowning, I am giving birth, I am sick, and so forth. When the mind is cleansed by the Mahamantra, it is forcibly purified. all the material concoctions, which are the cause of our suffering, are forcibly murdered, starved to death. They thrive on material sense pleasures. Flooding the mind with transcendental sound is just like stepping on the pin of a bomb. All those misconceptions of material suffering and enjoyment are shattered, murdered, and the material mind is conquered wholly, leaving no enemies behind. The mind then reflects the spiritual knowledge, quality, and energy of the soul itself. Haribo Rohini Nandan Prabhu. Okay, Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. The fire of conditional life is thus extinguished. Nirvana, which most people are trying to understand from Buddhist texts, means extinguishing the fire of material existence. This body has been burning from the very beginning of time by the process of digestion. Biologists all declare that the body is a burning organism, giving off heat, water vapor, and carbon dioxide. After 70 or more years, our body is consumed by that smoldering digestive fire, and we move into another body, only to burn up that one too. Here's an example. It is like chain smoking. With the lit end of the cigarette, you light up a fresh cigarette, and on and on. By the potency of the transcendental sounds, the cause of that fire is extinguished. Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyabadu Jivanam. The transcendental sound then spreads the light of benedictions, peaceful suggestions, and fearlessness, and no more anxieties invade the mind. When we come out of the womb, we approach the world with many deep-rooted fears. Is there safety? Is there happiness? Is there peace? The answer is the basic seed. What is that seed? Om, in this case, means a big yes. Om, yes, a positive answer. Simply by negating the minds, the questions of the soul are not satisfied. Something positive must be given. The Maha Mantra floods the minds with suggestions of the truth. Right? The first two, Cetodarpanamarjanam and Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam, were both negative. Removing all the dirt, extinguishing the forest fire, those are all things that we want to get rid of. You know, it's negative. But then finally, the third one, this is giving the positive. Om, the positive, a big yes. So simply by negating the minds, the questions of the soul are not satisfied. Just by removing all this, the questions aren't satisfied. Something positive must be given. The Mahamantra floods the mind with suggestions of the truth. Then Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratibadam Punamrita Swadanam. Okay, I guess this is why he said it was 5, because he put these two as one. Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratibadam Punamrita Swadanam. Yeah. And also Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyabadu Jivanam. He categorized those as one as well. I have a feeling that Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj explained them separately though, and then he merged them together. That's my guess. All right. So Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratibadam Punamrita Swadanam. A full dose, an ocean of blissful nectar is served to the soul, who has been thirsty since time immemorial. Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam. This point has a twofold meaning, one external and one internal. Sarvatma means all jivas. Sarva Atma, all the souls. We just read that yesterday, I think, right? The whole, or the day before yesterday. The holy name bathes all souls with spiritual bliss, knowledge, and love. Because it's performed out loud, and all jivas around you, sarva atma, all the souls will hear it, and they become purified. The transcendental sound completely overcomes the soul with his sublime potencies. But Atman has many meanings, as given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Atman means the supreme absolute truth. It also means the body, the mind, the intelligence. It also means endeavor, conviction, and nature. By uttering the pure sound of the Mahamantra, one invades the very cause of everything that exists. The mind, body, and soul, and even nature itself, can be changed into transcendental nature by once exclaiming, Hare Krishna. Capture the sound waves, which are the cause of every item of existence, and saturate them with Hare Krishna. Whoa. Capture the sound waves which are the cause of every item of existence and saturate them with Hare Krishna. The result will be the total transformation of energy. An ashram, a temple, and all the paraphernalia in it are all divine. The environment in which we live in, the ashram, is not the same as the one in which we were born. It is there. It is Goloka. And the more we progress in our sadhana, the more he will reveal himself to us. Jai. Jai Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam ki jai. Jai Śrīla Bhakti Rakshak Śrīla Gosai Maharaj ki jai. All right, what time is it? It is 7:57. So I think this is a good place to end for today. For those of you wanting to stick around a bit longer, after I finish Jayadvani, I'm going to read the rest of the Vivriti of Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Goswami Prabhupada. We'll read the translation and then we'll look at the original Bengali. And yeah, there isn't so much. We made it halfway through yesterday, and today we'll be reading his explanation on these 7 results of Nam Sankirtan, the 7 perfections. All right. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, oh Hari Bol, Hari Bol. I was just right now when I was singing Mahamantra, I just got an image in my head. Because this first verse of Śikṣāṣṭaka is all similes, it's all imagery. Every single part of it is an image. I wonder if it would be cool, like if it would be possible. I'm speaking to Guru Nishta right now, or any artists out there. But do you think this whole verse could be represented by a picture? Like, okay, so I don't know. It'd be a pretty wild picture. It'd be probably too busy because you'd have to have a mirror somewhere in the picture, and then a forest fire, but then part of the picture would be a forest fire, and then but the forest fire would be happening next to an ocean, and there'd also be a white lotus growing somewhere, or a white lily, and the moon will be there. And then what else would be in the picture? Uh, how would you do Sarvatma Snapanam?
What about the wife?
Oh yeah, and the wife, of course, the wife. How do you forget the wife? Where would the wife be? The wife would be somewhere, I don't know.
I like where this is going.
Yeah. But like it's all imagery. It's or maybe separate, maybe it could just be separate images. But I think it'd be a crazy busy picture, but you probably could fit it all into one image somehow.
Yeah, actually, my late godbrother Shamsundar made this. It was like kind of like a mandala or a lotus, and it was the first verse of Sikshastakam. I'll try to dig it out, but I'm not sure where it is. But it was really
Oh,
cool.
cool.
It had all the different, aspects of sadhana bhakti and all the parts of the shloka and everything. It was really nice.
Really? Wow,
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, share it. And if he doesn't mind, then I'll share it in our WhatsApp group. And yeah.
he passed away last year, but I'm sure he wouldn't mind.
Okay, cool. Yeah, please, if you manage to find it, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'll try to dig around. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so that is our program for today. Oh wait, I have to do Jadvani. Jai Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai, Jai Shri Gurudev Ki Jai, Jai Shri Param Gurudev Ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai, Swaparshad Shri Gaur Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopigan Ki Jai, Shri Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai, जय श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय श्री कृष्ण नाम संकीर्तन की जय श्री चैतन्य शिक्षाष्टक की जय श्री सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि की जय श्री सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय his संमोदन भाष्य की जय his गीतावली and भजन रहस्य की जय श्री भक्तिसिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जय श्री प्रभुपाद विवृत्ति की Jai Srila Bhakti Rakshak Shrira Goswami Maharaj ki jai. All his beautiful explanations of the first verse or of Shikshashta ki jai. Jai Shri Hari Nam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Vrindai Tulsidevai Priyai Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavatai Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat Pranams. Let's see who's here. Nri Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarani Mataji, Prajumna Prabhu, Mantramurti Mataji, Nitai Mukeshji, Anadi Krishna Prabhu, Guru Nishta Prabhu, Vidyalala Sadidi, Gargrajji, Rohini Nandan Prabhu, Amit Dandekar, and I'm guessing Indira Mataji and Raseshwari Mataji. And who else is there? Anyhow, yeah, Dandavat Pranams, everybody. Also, pranams to all devotees watching in the future, like Shachi Devi and Jayadev Prabhu. When you write a comment on YouTube, I also get a notification in my email. So I always see every comment that you write. So, Dandavat Pranams. All right, so we are now starting. Oh, one other thing today. Well, yesterday it was Janu Saptami Titi in India, but I think it's Janu Saptami Titi right now. They're in the USA, or like the other side of the world. And today is the day that Srimati Deva Mai Didi, the mother of Rukmini Didi and Rupmanjari Didi, this is the day that she passed away. And I've never met her. I never got to meet her personally, but I've gotten so much inspiration from her, especially from her book. She translated so much. She translated that big book, Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, by Mandala Media. She translated that whole book. She translated, and she wrote for that book. Like she wrote, there's like a biography part that she wrote, and she also translated so many things for that book. Then she also published. She wrote the book, the biography of Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, A Life of Devotion, which we read on our program here. And she translated Srila Bhakti Rakshak Shrira Goswami Maharaj's books from English into Bengali. Usually everything's always translated from Bengali into English, but she translated his, because he gave so much Harikatha in English, and so she translated that all into Bengali, and that's all available at Chaitanya Saraswat Math. I actually have the Bengali books here. What is it? Suvarna Sopan, and I forgot it. Yeah, I have all those books. And then she also, she is the great granddaughter or granddaughter of Sujanananda Prabhu, who was a very prominent. We were hearing about him in our program about Srila Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Goswami Maharaj. His name kept on coming up. That devotee Nanda Dulal Prabhu was talking about him so much, about how he was one of the main editors of the Vishuddha Chaitanya Vani magazine of Srila Bhakti Madhav Goswami Maharaj. He was also, he funded the temple there in Kolkata. He was a very prominent disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Goswami Prabhupada, and especially very prominent in Chaitanya Gaudiya Math. So wonderful, and that was her grandfather, I think, and also just with Devamai Didi, everything I would hear, like Rukmini Didi, she mentioned to me that her favorite part of Chaitanya Bhagavat was the story of Kolavetra Sridhar. And so then when I started reading it, I read it with a lot more, like, just because I knew that was her favorite part of the Chaitanya Bhagavat. And so then when I read it with a lot more reverence, I guess, and I was able to read it a lot more seriously. And then it had a much bigger impact on me, and that became my favorite part of the entire Chaitanya Bhagavat. But that was because I heard it was her favorite part. And every now and then we'll be doing our program, and then Rukmini Didi said, "Oh, my mother used to recite this every day for, like I keep on hearing about her devotional practices that she did." And anyways, I've gotten a lot of inspiration from her. Her very close relationship with, she's a disciple of Srila Bhakti Rakshak Srila Goswami Maharaj, but she was especially close with Srila Bhakti Puri Goswami Maharaj. There's so much to say about her. So today is the day that she left her body. And yeah, just wanted to mention something about her because I've gotten a lot of inspiration from her. All right. So Shrimati Deva Mai Didi Ki Jai. And she also had a lot of affection for my Gurudev. She came in 2010 when my Gurudev was about to enter Nitya Leela, and she stayed in our mat. She stayed in Gopinath Bhavan and was she was there during that whole time in Govardhan during Kartik in 2010. So anyway, so much to say about her, but yeah, Dandavad. All right, so now we are going to move on to our program of reading. But this is where our program is officially over. So if anybody needs to go now, Dandavad Pranams, thanks for joining. And for anybody who wants to stay, we're going to read the second half of the Vritti of Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Goswami Prabhupāda. Okay. Where did we read up? I think we read up to, let's just read the English for up to where we read to yesterday. Okay, so all glories to Sri Gurudev. This is the Vritti of Srila Sarasvatī Ṭhākura Prabhupāda. Obeisances to Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam. All glories to Sri Gurudev, the performer of Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam. And to Sri Gaura-sundar, the very embodiment of Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam. Among the infinite varieties of devotional practice, sadhan bhakti, numerous limbs of devotion are described in Śrīmad Bhagavatam and Sri Hari Bhakti Vilas. Primarily in the practice of bhakti, 64 types of devotional limbs are spoken of in the context of both Vaidhi and Raganuga considerations. In Śrīmad Bhagavatam, within the statements of Sri Prahlad as well, we find mention of pure devotion. Sri Gaura-sundar has stated that Shri Nam Sankirtan is the supreme practice among all the types of devotional limbs. Knowers of the truth designate the one non-dual reality as Brahman when relying solely on pure consciousness. So they relied solely on chit, i.e. through pure knowledge, kevala gyan. So as Paramatma, so those who are knowers of truth, they designate the non-dual absolute truth as Paramatma through the function of eternity and consciousness. That's Sat and Chit. And these Tattva Vidgan, these knowers of truth, they designate the Advai Gyan Vastu, the non-dual absolute truth, as Bhagavan through the agency of eternity, consciousness, bliss, and all potencies. Okay, so Chit, Brahman. Sat Chit, Paramatma. And then Sat Chit Ananda, Bhagavan. These are the different levels of understanding the absolute truth. Regarding the principle of Bhagavan, when Aishwarya is prominent, he is seen as Vasudev. And when sweetness, when Madhurya, wherein majesty is relaxed, is prominent, he is seen as Sri Krishna. Well, I just heard Shamali right outside my door. I think he's bringing her outside. Okay. Sri Narayan is the worshipable object for 2.5 rasas, whereas Sri Krishna is the treasured object of worship for all 5 rasas, the rasa panchak, Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsal, Vatsalya, and Madhur. Shri Krishna alone originates the Mahavaikuntha pastimes of Lord Baladev, who is the Vaibhav Prakash Vigraha. There, in Mahavaikuntha, the eternal quadruple expansion eternally resides. Okay, now next section. Mantra japa occurs solely through the mind. At that time, the performer of japa, the japakarta, meaning the one who meditates, he attains the fulfillment of their purpose. That person attains the fulfillment of their purpose, prayojan siddhi, by just performing japa by meditation in the mind, not out loud. However, when the lips vibrate, it becomes kirtan, which is more fruitful than japa. When kirtan occurs, benefit accrues to the hearer. Sorry, when kirtan occurs, benefit accrues to the hearer. The word sankirtan implies chanting in a complete manner, meaning that when it is chanted, the assistance of other types of devotional limbs is not required. Partial chanting of Sri Krishna's glories is not the intended object of the word sankirtan. So sankirtan doesn't mean ankshik kirtan. It means samyak kirtan. Sankirtan, the sang means samyak, which means complete. Doesn't mean ankshik. One is samyak, complete, and the other is ankshik, partial. But no, sankirtan means complete chanting. If by performing partial chanting of Krishna, the complete auspiciousness of the living entity does not arise, if when you perform partial chanting of Krishna, then complete auspiciousness of the living entity doesn't arise, then many people may become doubtful regarding the potency of Krishna kirtan. But what's the reason why it's not having its effect? It's because you're performing ankshik kirtan, not sankirtan. So it's not the fault of the Harinam that you're chanting, it's the fault of your chanting of it, but it's not the fault of the actual kirtan. May the samyak, the complete chanting of Sri Krishna be supremely victorious. Through the kirtan, the chanting of mundane topics, partial perfection focused on enjoyment is attained. In the transcendental realm, Sri Krishna alone is the subject. He is the only enjoyer, he is the only Vishaya, and he's the only subject. There is no room for anything mundane. Therefore, all perfections transcendental to material nature are obtainable through Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam. Among all perfections, 7 specific perfections are connected with Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam, and this is where we read up to yesterday. So these are illustrated here. Tahai istale udahrit hoyache. Okay, so we'll read the English and then the Bengali. Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam is the agent that cleanses the soiled mirror of the living entity's consciousness, the dusty mirror of the living entity's consciousness. Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam jiver malin chit darpaner marjankari. The consciousness, the chitta of the conditioned soul, is completely covered by 3 types of mundane impurities. What are those 3 types of mundane impurities? What are the Trivida Prakrita Avilata? I don't know. I didn't know that word Avilata. Guess that means impurity. Avilata. So they are extraneous desires, Anyabilash, rooted in aversion to the Lord, Isha Vaimukya. And number 2 is enjoyment of fruits, Phala Bhog, and renunciation of fruits, Phala Tyag. So Anyabilash, Phala Bhog, Phala Tyag. Oh wait, I have to read the Bengali. Okay, so Isha Vaimukya Rup Anyabilash, Phala Bhog, or Phala Tyag. E Trivida Prakrit Avilata Dwara, Baddha Jiver Chitta Sampurna Bhave Avrit Hoyache. The primary instrument, the Pradhan Yantra. What is the primary instrument for cleaning that refuse from the heart, from the mirror of the Jiva's consciousness? That Pradhan Yantra is Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam. That's the primary instrument for cleaning the refuse from the mirror of the jiva's consciousness. Jiver chitta darpan hoite means from, so jiver chitta darpan hoite, oi avarjana parishkar koribar pradhan jantra, Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam. 3 types of deceitful coverings, Trivida Kaitava Avaran, are present on the mirror of the jiva's consciousness. Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam alone is capable of removing them. Okay, so Jiv Chitta Darpane Trivida Kaitav Avaran Vartaman. Taha Śrī Kṛṣṇa Saṅkīrtani Unmochan Korite Samartha. By chanting Śrī Krishna's name completely, Samyak Rupe Kirtan. So by chanting Śrī Krishna's name completely, the living entities realize their own servitude to Krishna in the mirror of their own consciousness. Śrī Krishna Samyak Rupe Kirtan Korite Korite Jiv Shriya Chitta Mukure Nija Krishna Kainkarja Upalabdhi Koren. It's another word for mirror I didn't know before. Mukur means mirror. Interesting. I wonder how many words for mirror is there. Wait, I just want to see. Mukur, mirror, looking glass. So also aina, darpan. I think there's other words for mirror also. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so by chanting Krishna's, okay. So there's servitude for Krishna in the mirror of their own heart of consciousness that's realized. Although this material existence may seem pleasant at first, apat madhur. So at first it seems madhur, sweet. It resembles a forest fire within a dense jungle. Ei sangsar apat madhur hoileo, iha nibid aranyabhyantare davagni sadrisha. By the forest fire, the multitude of trees situated in the forest are periodically destroyed. Davagni dvara kanan stita vrikkaraji madhe madhe vinash prapta hoy. Persons averse to Krishna constantly endure the burning pain of material existence like the heat of a forest fire. However, simply by the complete chanting of Krishna Samyak Kirtan, even while remaining in this world, they attain liberation from the burning of the forest fire due to becoming oriented towards Krishna, due to becoming inclined, turning towards Krishna, Krishnonmukata. Krishna vimukh jan samsarer jwala davagnir taper nyay sarvada shohya koren. Kintu Krishner samyak kirtan hoile ei sangsare thakiyao Krishnon mukata hetu dava jwalar dahan hoite nishkriti lab koren. Sorry, I don't know why I'm having such a hard time reading. Yeah, okay. The complete chanting of Sri Krishna distributes supreme auspicious beauty. Krishner samyak kirtan param mangala shobha vitaran kore. Shreya means auspiciousness, mangal. Kairav means the water lily, kumuda. Chandrika means moonlight, jyotsna, signifying purity or whiteness, shubhratva. Shreya, mangal. Kairav, kumuda. Chandrika, jyotsna, arthat, shubhratva. Just as the purity, the shubhratva of the kumuda blossoms at moonrise, similarly, all auspiciousness arises with Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam. Chandradoye jerup kumuder shubhratra vikash labh kore, Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtane shei rup akhil kalyan samudita hoy. Extraneous desires, that's anyabhilash, karma, and gyan they are not the means to the welfare. They are not the means to welfare. They are not the upai for kalyan. They are not the means to welfare. Rather, Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam alone bestows the supreme auspiciousness for the jiva. Anyabhilash karma ogyan kalyaner upai nahe. Parantu Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtani jiver param mangal vidhayak. In the Mundaka Upanishad, I was actually just listening to a YouTube video about the Mundaka Upanishad this morning. Cool. So in the Mundaka Upanishad, two types of knowledge, two types of vidya are spoken of. There's worldly knowledge, lokiki vidya, and supreme knowledge, para vidya. Mundak Upanishade dui prakar vidyar katha ache. Lokiki vidya or para vidya. Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtan is secondarily like the life of the bride of worldly knowledge, and primarily the life of the supreme knowledge or transcendental knowledge, or the transcendental knowledge bride. It's the bride of transcendental knowledge. So, Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtan gona bhave lokiki vidya vadu jivan sadrisha. Evam mukhya bhave para vidya va aprakrita vidya vadhur jivan. By the influence of Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtan, the living entity becomes freed from the pride of worldly knowledge and attains knowledge of their relationship with Krishna. Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtan prabhave jiva jagatik vidyar ahankar hoite unmukta hoya Krishna sambandha gyan labh koren. The intended object, the Lakhi Bhuta Vastu, the intended object of transcendental knowledge, is indeed Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtan. Aprakrit vidyar Lakhi Bhuta Vastui Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtan. Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtan alone is that which increases the living entity's ocean of transcendental bliss, the aprakrit ananda sagar. Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtani jiver aprakrit ananda sagarer vardhankari. A limited reservoir of water is not denoted by the word ocean. Therefore, only undivided bliss is comparable to the limitless ocean. Yes. Khanda jalashay samudra shabda vachya nahe. Ataev, akhanda anandoy asima samudrer sahita tulaniya. Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtan causes one to taste the full nectar at every step. Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtan pratipade purnamrita aswadan korai. In the tasting of transcendental ras, there is no lack or incompleteness. Aprakrita rasaswadane abhav va apurnata nai. From Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtan, the tasting of full eternal ras occurs at all times. From Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtan, the tasting of full eternal ras occurs at all times. Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtan hoite sarva khan purna nitya rasa swadan hoy. All transcendental entities attain coolness or soothingness, snigdhata, through Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtan. And in the mundane realm, the body, mind, and the soul, and in the mundane realm, the body, mind, and the soul beyond them, through Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtan, not only attain purity, but their coolness, their soothingness, is also inevitable. But that was a bit of a messy sentence. Anyhow. But yeah, it's mentioning that point how all activities, sarva atma, all living entities, and it completely bathes them. So also Sarva Atma means it bathes the body, the mind, and the soul beyond them. Okay, yes. So everything is bathed. All different souls and also one's complete self through Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam. They don't only attain purity. Anyways, okay, let's see if I can understand it better through the Bengali. Aprakrit shakal vashtui Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtane snigdata labh kore. Evam prakrit raje deha man o atirikta atma Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtane keval je nirmalata labh kore. Taha nahe, parantu tahader snigdatao avasyam bhavi. Okay, so they don't only attain purity, but it's inevitable that they will be completely soothed, cooled, bathed like that. Not just purity, but they're completely cooled and soothed. It's inevitable. Okay, so this is the end now, right? Yeah, last part. All the impurities that the conditioned soul has acquired in gross and subtle forms are completely washed away by the influence of kirtan. Upadi grasta jiva stula shukma bhave je shakal malinata labh koriachen she shamashtoi kirtan prabhave vidhota hoya jai. When attachment to inert matter is abandoned, the Krishna-oriented soul, the soul directed, who is completely inclined, who is completely directed to Krishna, attains the supremely cooling service of Krishna's lotus feet. So, Jader abhinivesh chariya gele, Krishnon mukjiv shushital Krishna par parma seva labh koren. That's the final result. That's sarvatma snapanam. Is they're fully bathed and soothed inside and out. In all ways, they're bathed and soothed by gaining the direct service of Krishna and Goloka Vrindavan. So that is the fruit of prem, right? So that's the meaning of that. Okay, so now Shri Jiva Goswami Prabhu in text number 273 of Shri Bhakti Sandarbha, one of the sections of Shri Bhagavat Sandarbha, and also in the Kram Sandarbha, commentary on the 7th canto of Śrīmad Bhagavatam, he has written, so in 3 places, in 3 of his books, in Bhakti Sandarbha, Bhagavat Sandarbha, and Kram Sandarbha, he's written this. Ataev yadyapyanya bhakti kalo kartavya tada kirtanakya bhakti samyogenaiva. This is what we were talking about in the beginning. Let's hear this, his translation of that. So, let's read the Bengali. So, Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhu, Shri Bhagavat Sandarbhe, Anyatama Shri Bhakti Sandarbhe, 273, Shankhya, or Shri Bhagavate Saptam Skande, Krama Sandarbhe Likyachan. Sorry. So that verse, it says, or that whatever, sutra. Ataev, or whatever, that prose. Ataev yadapyanya bhakti kalo kartavya tada kirtanakya bhakti samyogenaiva. So the meaning of that is, therefore, although other limbs of devotion should be performed in the age of Kali, even though they should be performed in the age of Kali, nevertheless, they must all be practiced only in conjunction with the bhakti designated as kirtan, kirtanakya bhakti. So that's pretty clear, right? The Sanskrit there. Ataev means therefore. Yadyapi means although. So therefore, although anya bhakti, that means other limbs of bhakti, kalo kartavya, kalo means in the age of Kali, kartavya is they must be done. It's the responsibility, it's the duty It's one's duty. One must perform the other limbs of bhakti in the age of Kali. Tada. Still, kirtanakya bhakti samyogena eva. Eva means certainly, certainly. It must be done. This kirtan, these limbs, other limbs of bhakti must be done in conjunction, are connected, samyoga, with kirtanakya bhakti, with the form of bhakti known as kirtan. Let's just read the Bengali translation. Arthat, Jodiyo kali kale apar bhaktyanga o anushthan kartavya, tathapi she shakal kirtanakya bhaktir samyogei sadhan korite hoive. And that's the end of the Vrivriti of Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Goswami Prabhupada. Okay, so then after this, there's only those few verses from Bhakti Sandarbha, from Bhajan Rahasya, and then we'll have finished chapter 1 of this book, Śrī Śikṣāṣṭaka. You know, I've been finding with these, like when I read this out loud after these programs, it makes all the Bengali really clear to me because I've went over it like thoroughly, like I read it out slowly, and I looked at the English translation, and then I looked at the Bengali, and now I'm able to just read this very easily and understand everything that I'm reading. I could probably figure it out if I read it without looking at the translation and going through it with you. I could probably very slowly. It'd take me a lot of time, and I'd be like, it'd be really difficult. But now that I've gone over it, read it out loud here, I'm gonna read it like very without thinking so much. You know what I mean? It's just like very natural, and that I found for me personally, that was the most effective way to learn how to read Bengali. At first, now it just takes me, I just need to look at it really once and then I get it. But before I had to put a little bit more work, but I already explained it, right? I would get the English article and then I'd look at the Bengali translation, and then I'd spend a lot of time on each sentence trying to figure out how do they get it to translate that English into this Bengali. Like I try to figure out the Bengali through the English, and slowly I would start to get it. And then after spending a good amount of time on one article, after I finally dissected the meaning of all the sentences, then I would read the article and like, oh my God, I could read the Bengali and I understand it. It was so exciting. It was a bit of work, but the reward was so great. Like it felt so, it was exciting to be able to read an article in Bengali script and know what I'm reading. And then once you do that, it becomes, you learn super, that's like the fastest way to learn, I think. You don't need to study vocabulary and all that. Vocabulary comes automatically when you do this process. You see the words in context and you want to know what it means. And so then the words just stick really, like rather than just looking at a list of words and the meanings, that's the most boring, ineffective way for learning. But if you actually try to figure out the sentences like this, you see all the words in context, then you actually don't even need to look up lots of words in the dictionary because you understand just automatically in seeing it in context. You just start to understand the words, and yeah, in no time you'll be able to read Bengali directly and understand. This Shikṣāṣṭaka is a little like very dense, very technical language. It's not very easy, but there are many Bengali books like by Srila Bhaktivinoda Puri Goswami Maharaj, there's Upakhana Upadesh, that have really simple Bengali. And after just doing this a little bit, I think you'll be able to read those more easy books and yeah, and be able to comprehend what you're reading. All right, so that's our program for today. Thanks for joining. See you all tomorrow. Haribol. And tomorrow is a very special day. It is the appearance day of Janava Devi, the appearance day of Ramachandra's Shakti Sita Devi, and also the disappearance day of Madhu Pandit. So we will read something about their glories tomorrow and also read some more explanations on the first verse of Shikṣāṣṭaka. All right, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams. Is there anything anybody wants to mention before I end? Okay, see you all tomorrow. Haribol.